Hey there, brass players. Today we're going to be talking about tonguing specifically with a brass instrument. So after we have done some activities with a straw and your piece of paper, hopefully you're ready to start doing this while you're buzzing on a mouthpiece. So one of the first things we would do is carry over one of those activities with our straw into what we're doing with this. So in your activity bag, you should have a couple of the small straws and a couple of the slightly larger straws. So if you're playing an instrument like French horn or trumpet or even trombone or euphonium, go ahead and use the skinnier straw right now. All right, if you're playing tuba, then I would do this with the larger straw. Okay, so I'm going to demonstrate a couple things for you to do as a training activity. So we're going to take the straw and we're going to put it inside the mouthpiece, so that the straw is just sticking out just a little bit. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to put that in my mouth, and just like we were tonguing on the straw and the paper, we're going to do that. Okay, so once I get that paper moving with the straw and the mouthpiece, I'm going to start tonguing the edge of the straw. Okay, and you can see that the paper is dancing ever so slightly as I'm tonguing. What we don't want is the paper to draw back completely to us, so this would be incorrect. That would be incorrect because we're stopping the air in between. We don't want to do that. This might be an easier activity if you're starting with tonguing, say, eighth notes. Do, 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 like that. So a couple things, we want that to be square on our face, so we want the mouthpiece to be touching our face as though it would be when we're buzzing. We also want to make sure that our jaw is not moving up and down like that when we're tonguing. Okay, so that's the first thing to do. If you can successfully do that, then you're going to take the straw out and you're going to do that with a buzz. My recommendation is that you just get a buzz established with some air before you start trying to tongue. And I would say go ahead and try to start with eighth notes. Remember that the paper should be moving. So my recommendation is to do that as long as you can hold it on one breath. So I'm going to try that right now until I completely run out of air. And you can see that I got quite a few eighth notes out on one breath. You might not get as many, but that means that you just need to take in more air and get a more steady airstream with your buzz. So we want to make sure that we're doing that, okay? The next thing is you want to be able to do that slower. So we would be tonguing quarter notes. What we don't want is, again, where it pauses and the paper completely comes back or sounds like this. That means that we're stopping the air in between every note, and we don't want to do that. The last recommendation that I want you to be aware of is when you get to the very last note that you're tonguing, we want to make sure that when we stop that note, we're just stopping it with our air. We're not going to stop the sound by putting our tongue back against our teeth, because where we're tonguing is right behind the two front teeth, very close to where the gum line is, just like we're saying that syllable do or tu. Okay, tu would be just a little higher, do would be just a little lower. And we want the tongue to just tap or bounce. We don't want to lay it and sit it there on our teeth and take it off. It just is going to tap and bounce. Do, 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 do. We don't want do, do, do. If you hang it out there too long, then it's going to stop the air completely. All right? So you can hear that I'm not stopping the air. If I was stopping the air, it would sound something like this. And then again, we have that awkward pause. Now listen to the last note that I tongue and see if you can tell the difference of if I'm stopping it with the tongue or if I'm just stopping it with the air. I'm going to play 4 quarter notes. Could you hear what I did at the end of the last note? Now I'm going to do it again, see if you can tell the difference. Hopefully you can tell that the second time I did it, I stopped it with the tongue. The other time, I did not. So we don't want to stop that last sound or that last note with the tongue. We just want to stop it and let it sound open. That will take some time for you to work on. So if you practice this for 1 minute a day, you're going to have a lot of success. Another thing you can do is you can take your pinwheel with the mouthpiece and you can buzz onto the pinwheel. Get the pinwheel moving, and then once again, tongue those quarter notes or tongue those eighth notes and make sure that the pinwheel is not really stopping or slowing down or pausing. So hopefully those few activities, if you do them for about 1 minute a day, you're going to be in really, really good shape. I'll give you one other activity if you're still struggling, and that is to take the balloon from your activity bag, put your mouthpiece inside of the balloon, okay, until it gets up to the end of the cup. You'll probably want to twist it around a couple times carefully without dropping your mouthpiece. And then you want to buzz, actually make a sound and buzz into the balloon. Let the air out on top of you, okay? And then what you want to do is, can you buzz and make sure that the balloon is not pausing in between? Now, if I was pausing in between, you would see the balloon take a pause as it's expanding. Hopefully you can see the difference. So what we don't want is we don't want the balloon to expand and pause, because what that means is that we're stopping the air in between. So that's another good visual activity that you can do with the mouthpiece. All right, and then once again, tubas, for you would be using the bigger straw through the mouthpiece for that initial activity, okay? So that way you're just gonna get a more ideal kind of airstream for what you're using on the larger mouthpiece. Hopefully those are helpful for you. Again, 1 minute of doing these is gonna help you quite a bit for about the first week of trying this. So if you're doing that activity daily for about 1 minute on these different things, you're gonna be off to a great start.